Welcome back to NDR.
Tati here with Aaron and Devon, and should we talk that we tried to do a live event, but that didn't go well.
We're learning, guys.
We're learning, and we'll definitely try again, but we do have your questions, and we're definitely going to be addressing them and put the video or the show soon out so you guys can hear all of our answers. So here's the first question we had earlier this week. What do you do when you're so tired doing the job, babies are napping, and your body and mind just feels like it's about to crash? We had a nanny fall asleep for 20 minutes and the parents found out and took photos. The girl traveled like 2 hours to get to the job, woke up in the night for other reasons, and then bounced the baby on the ball for like 20 minutes. And then she crashed.
So I have to say, I think it's fine as long as the baby is safe, since she was, or he was, sleeping. Seemed like all the chores were done. And I think it's fine. I think in our industry, we always talk about we need to have some downtime so we can rejuvenate for the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I know I've told my bosses that they'll probably find me sleeping at some point because you never know what's going to be going on.
Well, I mean, it's different, especially with a younger infant. You can't predict whether, like, how your day's going to be until that kid's on a more set schedule. Sometimes you got 20 minutes, you just got to take it. And because you don't know when you're going to have a chance to eat or use the bathroom or...
Yep.
Yeah. So, as much as I love my job, sometimes that kid goes down for a nap. The first thing I got to do is pee, eat my lunch, and then I will, like, wash the dishes and do the other things.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it sounds like this nanny was sort of having a rough day. She was up during the night, you know, who knows what the situation is. Maybe she has children of her own. I mean, life happens. Maybe she was sick. It sounds like
95% of Boston was sick in the last couple weeks.
I have to agree with you on that one. I do agree with that.
We talked about.
But I also think that maybe at this point, you know, going forward, when you have interviews, these are type of questions that you should be talking about. I had a nanny friend that actually had it built into her contract that she could take a nap when the children's napped. So I think there is an array of ways acceptability and ways to answer this question. So I think it's something that you as the nanny needs to talk to either your current bosses or your potential ones on how they want to handle that and how you want to handle that.
Yeah. And as I said, like I would definitely not do this as soon as I start a new job. And it's not something that we go planning on doing, I guess. You know, it's not something that we plan on when the kids are going to go now.
Exactly.
We're going to go now. But I must say, you know, when times that I was sick, that I really didn't feel well, then of course I was definitely crashing on the couch.
So our next question is, if you work for a family that has kids in school, if you are paid for the time that they're in school, and if you're paid your normal rate, or if you're paid a lower rate for that time.
Or if you're paid at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you are paid, how much? In comparison.
So I know at least I have some families who come and talk to me about nannies and whether they're looking for one or how to handle a situation or if they're paying them the right amount, what have you. So this question's actually come up from a family, and I actually encourage them to pay their nanny some type of on-call wage. And I tell them you can either pay her full price, and if you do that, you can have her run around or him
do other things
during that time to household management stuff. Or I say you can pay them like half the price, whatever it is. But what you're doing is that you are ensuring that nanny is going to be available to you if and when you need her, especially when
or if your kids need her.
Well, right. But especially when you expect her to be there when the kids don't have school or they're sick or vacations, things like that. When you go in and
random school holidays.
Yeah, when you go in and you do your advertising for the nanny, a lot of them are saying, "Oh, but they need to be available for this, this, and this." No. But no,
you're not gonna find a nanny.
Yeah, you're not gonna find a professional nanny.
And that's the thing I see a lot is I've seen nannies asking, well, I work for this family and the kids are in school from like 8 to 3, but I would like to pick up extra work, but my family says no, but they're not paying me for that time.
Exactly.
Well, if they're not paying you for that time, then that is your free time.
Exactly.
In my opinion, if they're not paying you for that time, that is your free time. You can
do
do anything that's not affecting your ability to work when you are on your hours that you're being paid for.
And definitely make sure that it's in your contract or
Yes.
work agreement, that everything is outlined, that the hours, if they are not going to pay you for an on-call fee, that it's outlined, these are the hours that you work. So if it ever does come up, there's a situation with it, you can present it back to them and say, this is what we agreed on. All right, so our next question is, what benefits in our current contracts that we don't have that we would like? I said that right?
I think so.
So basically, they're asking what other benefits would we add to our contract that we don't currently have?
Well, it's not really a benefit, but it was something that came up that I didn't anticipate, and that was jury duty.
Yeah, that's been a big topic lately.
Isn't that already mandatory?
So it is in Massachusetts, and I got, but it's not in all states to be paid. They do have to let you go, but they don't have to pay you. And thankfully, my boss was really cool about it. I was like, oh, well, we didn't discuss it, so I guess it's an unpaid day off, and he paid me for it anyways. So
I think for me, I would add in a stipend every 3 or 4 months to have my car detailed. And I don't need it to be like professionally detailed, but the quick one, just to have it vacuumed and shampooed and, kind of like a good rub down, especially when I'm using my vehicle. And now we are rear facing for a lot longer, and I've noticed that it's getting dirty and
on the back seat, back your seat.
So I'm definitely rewriting actually my contract currently, and that's something that I'm going to be adding in.
I think what I really wanted was definitely retirement, like retirement account.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I think some of the problem with, we know the benefits we'd like to ask, but sometimes it's hard because most people who get those benefits are working in a larger company.
Yeah.
And obviously we're not. We're just working for the families that we work for. And so it's harder to figure out, well, how can they contribute to my retirement? They can't set up a 401k.
Yeah.
And I know Care.com is doing some things trying to make other benefits more widely available. But it's got a ways to go.
All right, next question is, what's the worst babysitting experience you've ever had? I don't know. I'm trying to think. I remember once when I started a job and everything went fine, and then the first day the mom went back to the job, this baby, poor girl, she was crying and screaming and screaming, and I was like, that's not her. And I, as I always tell parents, I don't care how much experience I have or degrees or whatever, if I have a good feeling, I will call you and I'll ask questions. It's not because I'm ignorant, it's just because I'm concerned, and, I have no problem reaching out for help. So I did call the mom. I was like, hey, she's been crying, it is on and off, but there's something wrong, and it's not diaper, it's not food.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, be home right away. And then mom came home and she told me she had just changed the medicine. Which I was like, you gotta tell me those things, and you gotta, because that, for me, we know that, yes, there's a change, and we can expect that.
At least you would have had
then you would at least understand what was going on.
And there's that thing, we know the kids feed on us, right? So if I'm feeling sick, it's okay, I did everything I know with this baby, but there's something wrong.
It makes you very anxious.
Exactly. If I knew maybe it was the medicine, maybe internally I'll be oh, it's just the medicine, and maybe I wouldn't feel so freaked out, and maybe I would have calmed the baby better. But that was one thing that it was so traumatic.
Your head wouldn't have been racing. What could it be? What's going on? Yeah. What am I doing wrong?
Or you're checking the toes and fingers to see if she's got a little
hair, trying different food,
everything. Because I really don't have screamers or crying babies. I really usually. I really don't have babies that just will scream, and it wasn't even an hour, but of course, for me, half an hour of a baby screaming that I've never seen before, it's something wrong, there's one thing that's, the first time away from mom, but it's I was with them for 2 weeks already before. So it's this is just not her. And mom was like, oh, thank you so much for calling, and then she told me, you gotta tell me those things, it's important.
Okay, Erin.
I can't say that I've had anything really bad, which is really surprising. But I would say the most recent thing that I do remember is I was babysitting in a hotel job for this 4 or 5 month old. And I just could not soothe this baby for the life of me. And it was to the point that, like, I know I was really calm because I was trying to just help this baby, but I started to have tears because I was like, what is wrong? What is going on? And I finally texted the mom, you know, and I said, look, is there something I can give this baby? It was like literally almost 2 hours. And she proceeded to tell me that they only hold the baby for when he's going to sleep. So every time I would put the baby down, think he was asleep, he would scream. But then they also told me that he had reflex and all this stuff that they just didn't tell me. And I was like, no wonder I can't soothe this baby for, you know, for this long, because I tried to put him down when he's sleeping. I was trying to feed him, didn't hold him up right for like the 30-40 minutes it was, all this stuff, different stuff. So to me, that was probably really hard, because going through everything that I know, and I was even really patient, and I was about to cry. So I felt like I just couldn't do my job. Like, this baby was breaking me. Like, I couldn't do anything. So.
Our next question is, what sort of phone applications you like to use on the job?
I think, well, we use Baby Connect.
I say it's pretty unanimous. Baby Connect.
That's definitely for when you're recording things for the families to see. But I mean, this question could go in any direction too, of like, what do we like to use, and depending on the age of your child, or your charge, excuse me. No?
Because I don't like kids and technology, but okay.
No, but I mean, you know, I mean, there is. I mean, what if you have like a 4-year-old or something, and, you know, I agree with you completely. I agree with you. But there are families out there that are okay with it. I know. You know, so I think we should, you know, that's a very broad question.
Yeah. Another one I can think of is Mileage IQ for tracking mileage on the job. And I've tried to use it, but frankly, I liked the app, but I am just an old-fashioned pen and paper type of gal, and I just write my mileage out by hand, and then I, every few months, sit down and type it into my computer and send the document to my boss.
I have another one.
I'm very pen and paper, too.
MBTA track.
Oh, I use that personally.
So yeah, to see what time the bus is coming for us to go to swimming and all that. So there we go.
There you go.
So the next question is if we do any errands or other housework chores for the family that we currently work, or if we have done in the past, and if we feel that that's a job that we need to partake as a nanny.
I personally think that this is a question that you need to discuss with your family up front when you're interviewing and negotiating the contract.
And job responsibilities.
Yes. However, so there's a difference between a full charge nanny where you are basically just doing anything and everything for the children, restocking the wipes or the changing table, what have you, organizing the playroom, their dressers, their whatever it is for them, making their food. And sometimes in my current job, I just go grocery shopping for him.
Yeah.
I don't do it for the family, although I'll be like, when I'm walking out, I'll be like, is there anything I can get for you guys? Because
like, do you need a gallon of milk?
Yeah, exactly. You know, but so there's that. But however, I've also have had with that, I've also had them try to do some job creep and have me play with the dog, play fetch with the dog on specific times where they've called me and said, can you do this? Or can you do this? That I'm like, sure, but we can renegotiate the contract. You know, and it's not because I'm trying to be nitpicky about things, but I also know, being in this season nanny, that I do it once, they're going to expect it all the time.
Our next question is from my mom. Are you happy with your chosen life path? What is the most rewarding part? Well, I'll let you guys answer first, because she's my mom. She knows my answer.
Oh, she wants you. Oh, yes. As I said, I've said it for a few years now. I'm not a nanny just because I had nothing better to do. I grew up, I didn't know I wanted to be a nanny. I wanted to be a teacher. That was very clear since I was 7 years old. And I was a teacher, and I loved being a teacher. But when I became a nanny, or even an au pair first, like, but this is so much better than teaching. You know, even when I say, like, I wish instead of a reference letter, I could just bring my kids with me to interviews. So you guys
so they can brag about you.
Well, I can brag about them because, like, they are, I mean,
they're evidence of her hard work.
I can't take all the credit, of course, there are genes in there, but, you know, my kids, they're all amazing human beings and super, super smart and so, you know, compassionate and empathetic. And I love it. I love seeing, like, I made the difference.
You know?
I think
See
that's the
that.
best part for me is seeing the child grow, especially if you have them from newborn or infancy to like 3, 4, or 5, and you've just seen them grow and kind of how they've taken on some of the stuff that you've taught them. Obviously, they're going to take on stuff their parents teaches them too, but what you've instilled in them, I think that's awesome in my opinion too.
I love being a nanny. I was never motivated when I was going through high school and college and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. I was never motivated by money. That was not, I first started going to school to be a special education teacher, so it really wasn't for the money. It was because I'm passionate about it. And for me, the most rewarding part is definitely seeing them. Two parts to this. The first part is definitely seeing them learn things and accomplish things, especially when you start when they're little itty bitty, 2, 3 months old, and you watch them, you see that first sleep through the night and the sitting up and the first foods and the crawling and the walking and the talking, and it's just so wonderful to be witness to all those milestones. And I absolutely love, I'm the type of nanny that is part of the family. I am not just a business, down to business type nanny. I'm definitely part of the family, and I have a relationship with all the families I've worked with. And I just absolutely love that because I'm 1,000 miles away from my family, and all the families I've worked for, now I'm family number 4 that I've worked for out here in Boston, and they're just all like my parents. And, I'm endlessly grateful for all of their help. Like, not just with employing me and giving me a paycheck every week, but their emotional support through other seasons of life as well. And our final question is, what do we think parents most value when they're hiring a nanny? So, as an education, experience, their references, what are your thoughts?
I think personality comes 1, experience comes 2, education comes 3. Tati doesn't agree.
I think, at least for me, and I feel like the families I've worked for have sort of felt this way as well. Finding the right family is like finding the right dress, and it's just like a gut feeling. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't do your due diligence. You should still run a background check. You should still check references and do your homework, because we all hear the horror stories. But I think there is just something that clicks when you find the right family and they find you, and it is just, I've tried on enough like formal gowns to know. You just know. When you try on the right one, Yeah,
for me, it would really be the package, right? I can't say that it's just this. It needs to be balanced, and it's gonna be different for each family, as you said. So some family depends, what are the family values for that, particular group. What do they think is most important? Do they want, education, or do they want the background experience? I think they do need to come together. If they come, if you wanna, what would the best nanny have? Well, it depends the family you're asking. Some family really want, if they have multiples, they definitely want someone that has experience caring for 4 or 5 kids, right?
Yes.
They don't want someone maybe like me that, you have all, this education, all this experience, but did you ever had to hold 5 newborn babies at once? No, and I'll be honest, it's no, I haven't. So it really needs to get to know the person, get to know the family, and know what your values are.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
If you have any more questions, leave them down below, and we will get back with you.
And we'll see you in our next show.
Bye.
We have Deborah Jimenez here from Share Your Love Foundation, and she's gonna tell us all about that wonderful organization.